You are listening to the Tricorder Transmissions, episode 63. And now, here are Craig and Jeff.
Hello and welcome back to the Tricorder Transmissions. This is episode number 63 for The World is Hollow and I Have Touched the Sky. We are your hosts, Craig Cohen.
And Jeff Hewlett.
Yes, and Jeff, this is another episode for us.
Yeah, it's another episode. I'm wondering, is this the longest title of any episode in the original series?
I think it's got to be, word count wise, yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 words?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty lengthy.
And I know I'm not sure if this was a trivia question or not during one of our supplementals, but they actually say the episode title as well.
Twice, I think.
Yeah, so which is very unique in Star Trek.
Yes. I think that has only happened once or twice before.
Yeah. So I know we don't have much news this week, right?
No, it looks like a pretty slow news week. Must be because of the holidays.
Yeah. Well, I have a quick update.
Oh, great.
So way back in July and late July, early August, everybody knows we went to Las Vegas for the Star Trek convention.
Yes.
And I'm not sure if we talked about it or not, but while there, we both got a complete set of the Juan Ortiz trading cards, which were mini trading card versions of all of the episode posters that he did.
Yes, we did. We both got a set of those. They're relatively inexpensive too.
Yeah, I think it was $10 for the for the 80 cards or whatever. Great deal.
Yep.
And I know within a week of being home, you would frame them up and have them proudly displayed. I think in your office, right?
Yeah, they're in my cubicle at work. I put them in. Well, there's 80 cards, and I put 20 cards in a frame. So I have 4 frames hanging along one wall of my area.
Very cool. So I finally got off my butt and decided to frame mine up. I was nervous because I don't really have the skill set for doing things like that. But it's funny. I actually had a frame that was big enough for all 80 cards sitting in my closet.
Wow.
So I dusted it off and I loaded the cards up inside of it. And I got to say, I'm pretty proud of myself. It came out pretty nice.
Yeah, I saw the picture of it. So that's pretty neat.
Yeah, and the one thing I know, Juan Ortiz did the cards in production order.
Right.
But I decided as a cool reference for myself when I'm, in my hallway getting ready to record, this, an upcoming week's episode, I put the cards in air date order. So I'd have a real quick reference guide. So that made the framing up a little more challenging because I had to sort the cards out, make sure I had them in the right order, and then double and triple check myself before I actually glued the cards to the to the poster.
Good call. I did mine in production order, so it was much easier for me.
Yeah, very neat. And if I remember, I'll throw up a picture on the Facebook and the Twitter once this episode is out there in the world. But I thought that was worth mentioning since we didn't really have any huge news to go over.
Yeah, I think it does bear mentioning for anybody out there who's a fan of the Juan Ortiz artwork and, going to his website and buying the prints of those can get pretty expensive, especially if you wanted to get all 80 of the episodes. So, this was a great way to get, little miniature versions of all of them. And hopefully you could find deals like that out there on the internet of the complete set. I guess the guys who were selling them at the convention had just opened up packs and packs and packs and made full sets and then rewrapped them for sale. But it's a really great route to go if you're looking, if you like the artwork and you want to hang it up and around, but you just can't seem to afford all of the prints. It's a good way to go.
Yeah, and especially if you have, if wall space is a premium
True.
in your house.
Very true. Good point.
But I do like the miniature aspect because it's a quick snapshot of every episode of the original series, so it's kind of neat. It definitely classes up the wall a little bit.
Yeah, and they fit with each other stylistically, so it doesn't look like you got 80 different disjointed pieces of artwork. They all kind of fit and seem to look good together. So
yeah. And it's also the start of my much talked about Star Trek wall. So I've got the posters are the centerpiece, but then I've also got my cherished Gorn Captain Bobby Clark autograph picture, my Barbara Luna picture, Tanya Lamani, Grace Lee Whitney. I'll be hanging up the picture of me and you with Shatner, as well as Nichelle Nichols.
Nice.
I'll probably blow up the picture of me and Walter Koenig. So it should be a cool little Star Trek wall that I've wanted to do for a while. One thing in my house is I try and kind of group things together in a logical manner, as opposed to having just haphazard, spots. So when my Vegas portion of the wall ends, the Star Trek wall starts, which is also kind of a nice little through line because, Vegas and Star Trek are so connected for us.
Yes, definitely. So I look forward to seeing a photo of your completed wall.
Yeah.
So, episode time?
Yeah, I guess I just want to send holiday wishes out there for everyone, and thank you for taking the ride with us for I guess this is our second year that we're closing out. And I know we've picked up a lot of new listeners during the year, and so thank you all for taking the time to listen, and for also giving us all of your feedback. It's really appreciated.
Yeah. Oh, for sure, no question. And rest assured, we're not taking time off for the holiday, so we will be producing more new episodes. So we still have, I think, 2 more Sundays in the year, so we'll have episodes up for both of those Sundays. So fear not, intrepid listener, you will not be disappointed. And I guess with that, we can roll into For the World is Hollow and I Have Touched the Sky.
Let's do it.
All right. Air date for the original airing was November 8th, 1968. The original remastered episode aired on January 27th of 2007.
All right. And the Enterprise finds an asteroid that contains a generational ship on a collision course with an inhabited planet.
Dun, dun, dun. Just so I throw that in there. We haven't heard that on the show in a while.
Yes.
All right. Well, cue your DVDs, your Netflix or Blu-rays or what have you up. We are going to start our scene-specific commentary in 3, 2, 1.
So not much better than a Star Trek episode starting with a red alert.
Yeah, I like that this one opens up on something other than the Enterprise, too.
Yeah.
So it opens up on some weird-looking missiles firing towards the Enterprise. Supposedly, that shot right there of Chekov is footage from another episode, kind of like stock footage, where it's interesting what they reuse and what they don't reshoot. I guess, with the budgetary constraints so tight as they were in season 3, I guess, if there was a shot they could recycle from somewhere else, they would, instead of shooting it anew.
Wow, and even with the line of dialogue he said there, or was that?
No, the side shot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the side shot where it was just him and Sulu beyond.
All right.
Yeah.
The other thing that's funny about this opening was it seems like the trend is Spock's sort of hanging out in the captain's chair.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a couple episodes in a row now, it's sort of been that, Kirk's not on the bridge. He's off doing something else, playing golf or whatever.
Well, he needs a break every now and then.
Yeah.
But you notice Kirk ordered to prepare phaser banks 1 and 2. I don't know if we've heard him mention multiple phaser banks like that before by number.
Yeah.
So interesting. And do you see that insignia that Nurse Chapel's wearing?
Ooh.
It's the star with a medical cross in the middle of it.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I don't recall seeing that prior to this. We may have.
Yeah.
But I don't recall seeing that. I'll have to go back and look at other Nurse Chapel episodes. There aren't many where you get a lot of, footage where you can really get a look at the outfit too much. But
Yeah.
But I like that she was having a little bit of a verbal altercation there with McCoy. And to somebody who's watched this one time, this was their first time watching this, you may have thought there would be some sort of a disciplinary action going on for Nurse Chapel there. Like, she wanted the captain's intervention, but it doesn't turn out to be that way.
Yeah.
It actually turns out that she was concerned for Dr. McCoy.
Yeah, who has just let Kirk know that he's got a disease,
which we won't try to pronounce here.
Yeah, a terminal disease, and he's got about a year to live.
Yeah, so this episode has dropped 2 bombs on us in the Stinger. So we got the Enterprise under attack by missiles from some unknown location, and McCoy has an incurable disease. So interesting that it front loads that much. Usually we get these things added as we're watching the episode. We'll get one bomb in the Stinger, and then you wait till partway through the episode and they'll drop another one on you, and then maybe drop a time constraint on you later. But this one front loads a lot of the issues.
Yeah, and this also feels like I'm being written off the episode moment.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That's something we talked about last week with Chekov. If Day of the Dove had been made, in modern times, would that have been a, kill off Chekov moment? And this episode, now that you mention it, could very well be if it was made in today's television universe landscape and all the downtrodden, violence, depressing TV we have, this could have been one of the kill off McCoy episodes.
Yeah, as he decides whether or not he's going to re-up his contract.
Yeah. Nice. Or they replace him.
Yeah.
Midstream by with some other actor playing the same role.
Oof.
Yeah, that would be something. So we're approaching the coordinates from whence the missiles came, and I found this intriguing. It's an asteroid that's 200 miles in diameter.
Mm-hmm.
200 miles in diameter. The state of New Jersey, from its topmost to its bottommost, where we are, is 130 miles long.
Yeah.
So that asteroid is, quite a lot larger than New Jersey, than the state of New Jersey. So that's pretty big.
Yeah, but when you think about what its purpose is, it doesn't seem nearly as big as it probably should be.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it depends on how many people are on board, but we can fit a lot of people here in New Jersey. I wonder if you think about it, there's, people who live up in the northern part of our state that probably never seen the southern part of our state. I wonder if that's the same for the asteroid. I wonder if there's people who live on the top level of the asteroid have never seen the bottom level of the asteroid. Stands to reason, right? If it's bigger than New Jersey.
Yeah, I mean, there are people out there who, who never leave the town they grew up in.
It's true. That's true. So I wonder, speaking even on a smaller scale, you have 430 crewmen in the Enterprise. Do you think there's crew members who've never met each other?
Oh, wow. I'd have to imagine
big ship
that there's at least been, the Enterprise mixers and stuff like that, and they might do
social events.
Yeah, First Friday
parties.
events and stuff like that. Team building exercises.
Fish camp. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great stuff. So we've learned there's another bomb they just dropped on us, more front loading, that this asteroid / ship that's 200 miles in diameter is on a collision course with a planet called Darren 5, which has a population of approximately 3,724,000,000 people. So if this huge apparatus were to crash into that planet, we could lose almost 4 billion lives. A lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's an awful lot of people. And look at this chapel in the transporter room.
Yeah, just I guess so she could give those encouraging words to McCoy that you can do a lot in a year, or a lot can happen in a year.
Yeah, so I like that McCoy is insistent that he wants to stay on the Enterprise and keep doing his duties as he is fit to do, but Kirk automatically called for an immediate replacement.
Yeah.
He's like, nah, get this guy out of here. You know what? He's dying. Get him off the ship, damn it. He's a liability. But once again, they left Scotty in charge, by the way. Bears
Oh,
mentioning.
yeah, look at that.
Yeah, left Scotty in charge. But, here's another moment that I wondered. Usually I'm pointing out where Spock is the linchpin of the episode, and without Spock, they wouldn't have been able to get out of a certain scenario. But, spoiler alert, so cover your ears if you haven't seen this episode before and you're watching it for the first time now. Cover your ears now. If McCoy hadn't been so insistent on going with them and he had followed Kirk's will and stayed aboard the Enterprise, he would never have gotten cured.
Yeah.
So important plot point there for the episode. You can uncover your ears now, everybody. Not that you could hear me say that if your ears were covered. Hopefully, you think to uncover your ears. But spoiler is over. And some strange pink tubes we're seeing here. But interesting note about the set here is that they used forced perspective, and they actually made the pink tubes in the back smaller to give the illusion of depth.
Ah, cool.
So you see the pink tubes way in the background there. So they actually made them smaller. They're very close to the tubes in front. So this is one of the things I'm really looking forward to. These Are the Voyages Volume 3 to read more about this set itself, because I was kind of fascinated when I read that. So I'm interested to read about the building of this set, because we don't see these tubes really. This is the first time they were obviously constructed for this.
Yeah, and ideally, the next time we talk, we'll both have the book.
Yeah, mine shipping.
Yeah, I believe ours both shipped the same day.
Yeah. So once again, we have bizarre male costumes with really bizarre headgear.
It almost looks like scuba masks that were sort of painted.
Doesn't it? Yeah. I don't know what those headgear pieces are supposed to be. It looks like almost like a rubber hat with, or it's like almost like a rubber tube that's bent, and like there's a covered piece in the front that's got jewels mounted in it. But only the men are wearing them.
Yeah.
Not the females. So, and again, here we are with more edged weapons, swords, little short swords. So these people live inside this technological marvel, 200 miles wide, but still have swords. So I guess, guns or other or more electronic means of defense were not given to them, or they do not possess them somehow.
Really
it's a great
interesting
shot here.
Yeah, really. Through the stairs, sort of coming down, very artistic. And that is director Tony Leader, real name Anton. He went by the name Tony for this episode. He died in 1988, the age of 75. He also directed Perry Mason, Sea Hunt, The Twilight Zone, Leave It to Beaver, Rawhide, Lost in Space, and 6 episodes of Gilligan's Island.
Wow.
Among many other TV shows during his career.
Well, that's a big departure from Star Trek.
Yeah.
Twilight Zone, Gilligan's Island. So that's interesting. You have a director who can do comedy and drama and sci-fi. That's pretty versatile.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
And another member of the One Director, One and Done Club of Star Trek.
It's a growing club.
Yeah.
That is a growing club. So interesting sets in this episode.
Yeah, I love these interior sets.
This one in particular is very, very neat. It's almost like a star-shaped room from the inside.
Yeah.
Like if you were to go outside and look at the room from outside, it would be shaped like a star. But inside, you're seeing, the internal, the angular edges and the
right.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
Mm-hmm.
And the oracle here that we're seeing is almost like a marble type of an obelisk on the one side of the room with like a single light in the middle. So, yeah, interesting makeup job on her eyes too.
Yeah.
We were talking on Day of the Dove about the Klingon female eye makeup being a detractor, but in this episode, this eye makeup on this the name of the race of the people is escaping me right now. We haven't actually gotten to it yet. Fabrini, the Fabrini woman here, her eye makeup is actually pretty neat. Yeah, Natira.
She is the High Priestess.
Yes, she's the High Priestess, and obviously the guys in purple and red are her lackeys
Yeah.
with the rubber scuba hats on. So we learn that these people have been on a interstellar space flight for 10,000 years. So how many generations of these people have lived on that ship for that many years?
Oh yeah, it's an insane amount.
Yeah, pretty astounding when you think. I mean, if their lifespan is the same as ours, I mean, say generously they live to 100. That's a lot of lifespans, a lot of lifetimes, and children being born and old people dying off, and so it's no wonder that they've kind of lost the original vision, right? And they've become so subservient to the computer.
Yeah, but the real interesting aspect of the episode for me is these are people that aren't aware,
Right.
That they're traveling through space on a man-made satellite, if you will,
Satellite
as opposed
love.
to, yeah, I mean, if you think about it, the Earth is really just a big spaceship.
True.
True. But this is man-made, so it creates an interesting sort of set of thoughts.
Yeah, it certainly does. Another interesting thought, by the way, just to not to take a quick aside, we can jump right back into that. Kirk kept McCoy's secret for approximately 12 and a half minutes.
Yeah. But I think with this trio here, and we'll see. I mean, McCoy sort of doesn't seem bothered by it.
No, he took it rather well that he's got a 1-year death sentence.
Yeah. No, but I also mean the fact that Kirk told Spock.
Oh yeah. Well, I think that it was only a matter of time before somebody else found out, and it be Spock than some lesser member of the crew.
Yeah, and I really like this physical moment between McCoy that instantly keys him in that Spock knows, and it's excuse me, it's kind of neat because it's like a nonverbal form of communication from Spock, which is really, really rare.
Yeah, and if you looked at Spock's face, they showed an angle where you could see Spock's arm reaching towards the camera, and you could see the look on Spock's face. It almost looked as if he was conveying some kind of emotion there.
Exactly.
Empathizing with McCoy and letting him know that although I can't really show outward emotion, I do have some feelings on this matter. Mm-hmm. So pretty cool to show that unspoken bond between the two, as we're used to seeing them quibbling and fighting with each other over little things, but they really have a feel for each other.
Yeah. And now here comes possibly my least favorite character in Star Trek: The Original Series.
Really?
I don't know. There's something about this guy that just bugs me. I don't know if it's the way he sells things later on, or the performance, or the wig he's wearing.
Well, perhaps this little factoid will change your mind.
Well, I know we've seen him before.
We have, but this is the only regular Trek episode to feature 3 actors from The Cage.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool. So this guy here is John Lormer. He played Dr. Haskins.
Yes.
In The Cage. Who was and of course Leonard Nimoy's Spock. Who's the third person?
Majel Barrett.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah, different character. Yeah.
So you've got your Nurse Chapel. So we're not counting the menagerie in that, by the way, because that was recycled footage. This is 3 actual actors who were part of The Cage.
Uh-huh. And Lormer was also in another episode.
Yes.
He played Tamar in The Return of the Archons.
Yes, you are correct. So there were 2 actors from The Cage in that one, but this one has 3. So pretty cool.
Yeah, that is really neat. And here's the line being delivered. This is he's basically talking about climbing a mountain and touching the sky.
Yeah, I guess his only purpose in being in this episode is to tell our heroes that there's something sinister going on here.
Yeah.
That some force is keeping these people oppressed, and we know how Kirk loves to save oppressed peoples, especially those who are oppressed by a machine or computer.
Right.
So Kirk versus the computer again.
Yeah.
Again.
Version whatever.
Version, 7.0. And I love how Spock is the one that tells Kirk, listen, man, the Prime Directive is in full swing here, and telling these people that they're on a spaceship, because they believe that they're on a planet. So telling these people that they're on a spaceship and breaking their immersion into their world is breaking the Prime Directive. So you can't do it. So now they're going to have to look for another way to stop this planet/spaceship from being diverted, or to divert it from hitting Darren 5. And, it's nice to know that aliens have toothpicks, by the way, too.
Yes.
There's toothpicks in those melon pieces back there on those trays. So
to get to the Prime Directive, though, this is a race of people who have been lied to, ultimately.
Yes.
For 10,000 years here. Would it really be that against the Prime Directive to sort of right the ship, if you will, and let these people know that, their true origins, or that, where they came from?
I think technically, yes, it is. But if they could have figured out a way to divert the asteroid without cluing the people in, I think that would be the optimal solution to the problem, which I don't know why they couldn't do it with some elaborate force fields or something and try to push it in another direction, or otherwise alter its course. But
wouldn't it even a phaser blast do it?
I don't know. I don't know if that would do more damage than... I'm not really sure on that one. But we've seen them do some elaborate stuff with force fields, and using force fields to change things and otherwise tow things along with them, or this is pretty big, though, 200 miles wide. Yeah. Maybe it's too big.
But the other thing is, do you think that this civilization is just one group that lives in a pretty small area of this ship? Because you have a high priestess here. There aren't multiple high priestess.
Yeah, we don't really know. I guess we're under the assumption that there's only one. And I don't think they ever tell us how many people are actually on board.
Yeah, and I guess that's really where the devices in their head sort of come in handy. They really are a way to control the population.
Yeah, and I hesitate to say this because it's probably a very evil thing to say, but I bet you Mirror Kirk would love to have that technology and just build in agonizers to his entire crew, so he doesn't have to carry on little things anymore.
Oh, that's a really neat crossover idea.
So that's really what they have, right?
Yeah,
built-in
they're pretty
agonizers.
Much, yeah. I don't know. That would be a great Star Trek novel, I bet, where you've had the mirror universe encountering this asteroid. What a cool concept, Jeff.
Yeah, it would be interesting. And speaking of which, I'm glad that we got on that topic, because I'll take a quick diversion here, and I will say, and usually we don't mention novels, but I thought this was a good thing to mention because this is something that happens in a novel. The Mirror Universe novel Sorrows of the Empire.
Mm-hmm.
The Mirror McCoy actually does die of this same illness. I'm going to try it. Xenopolycythemia.
Nailed it.
I think I might have got it. Yeah. And he dies in 2269. And because the theory is that the ISS Enterprise, the Mirror Enterprise, either never encountered the Fabrini asteroid or destroyed it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And he was succeeded by our favorite, Dr. Mbenga. So,
nice.
So Dr. Mbenga has a future in the Mirror Universe, but doesn't appear he has much of a future here in the real universe because McCoy lives on.
Yeah, so it looks like the Mirror Universe ship might have tried my phaser
oh, good call.
Solution.
Yeah, that's probably what happened. Mirror Kirk had a moment of mercy and actually tried to divert the asteroid, but wound up destroying it instead.
Yeah. So now we've got the High Priestess. This is basically her putting the moves on McCoy, right?
Yeah, I love this.
Mm-hmm. I
love this. How emasculated Kirk must be feeling, because Chekov got the girl a couple episodes back, and here's McCoy again. This is only his second girl the entire series, right?
Yeah,
and the first one was a monster.
Yeah, Salt Vampire, yeah.
Ah, go McCoy.
Yeah, I don't know. It almost seems like maybe I bet you Shatner was checking the series Bible to make sure the Kirk wooing women pages hadn't fallen out by accident between seasons 2 and 3.
Yeah, who knows who Shatner pissed off and to get written out that way. I thought it was in his contract.
Too funny.
Is her hairdo like kind of a miniature Rand hairdo with a ponytail sticking out of the back?
Oh, yeah, look at that.
She's got like a little beehive action going on in the back there. So now we've got a little bit of a hive mind thing going on.
Yeah.
Here. So Natira told them that they're now friends of the entire ship and everybody knows about them. So now as they're walking through the hallway, it sure does appear that there's some sort of a mass mailer that went out to say, hey, if you see these guys in these funny clothes, they're our friends now. Don't run from them. And everybody's kind of like, ooh, watch them walking through the hallway. So interesting little tidbits going on here. This is, there's definitely something that controls them all or manipulates them all or is able to communicate to everybody in one quick and easy step. But now we're back to McCoy. She's trying to convince McCoy to stay on the Yanada with her as her husband, and he's about to spill the beans here about his medical condition. And I found this part very fascinating because McCoy tells her essentially that he's lived a very lonely life.
Yeah.
On board the Enterprise. And that's kind of sad.
Well, yeah, and I think we've hit upon this probably early in the series is, the dynamics of going on a 5-year mission like this where, it's not like future Star Treks, The Next Generation, or even DS9 where Sisko's got his son on board with him. These are all people that are pretty much taking a vow to Starfleet.
That's true. That's true. But, I don't know if a lot of other people on the Enterprise would say they lived lonely lives, though. Especially because, you're on a 5-year mission, but, he seems to imply this almost a deep, sorrow over the fact that he's not had any female contact. And I guess we're supposed to believe that Nancy Crater, the real Nancy Crater, was, his one and only shot.
Yeah.
But is that his problem? I mean, has he sworn off even looking for women, or, is he married to his profession, or I don't know. I don't know if it's a condition that he is self-imposed or what.
Yeah.
So, at any rate, she has yet to convince him, but he did get a little makeout scene there. So, question that I have in my mind is that he's admitted to having this disease. So, and it's not contagious. So he can't give it to other people via touch because Kirk has touched him and Spock has touched him, and it's not transmissible by fluid exchange because he just kissed Natira. So I'm left to imagine that it's a genetic disorder.
It could be, but it could also be bloodborne.
Potentially. I mean, I guess where would he have contracted it from?
Well, yeah. I mean, that could be how you pass it.
Potentially, but then we'd have to assume he caught it from somewhere.
Yeah, well, he doesn't wear gloves when he's doctoring.
True. I mean, that would mean another crew member probably would have had it, and he had to do some sort of a medical procedure where he was exposed to their blood. Now, you would think that in the future that contaminated blood would be a thing of the past, like you would be completely shielded from it, because we're pretty close to that today, where unless you don't use your protective gear properly, you can be protected from anything, bloodborne or airborne. Mm-hmm. If you have the proper hazmat materials. So, at any rate, Kirk and Spock have infiltrated the Oracle's sanctum.
Yeah, and it was pretty cool. Like Spock cracked the code.
Yeah, he was watching very closely when Natira used the combination dance on the door when they came in prior to this. So he was able to repeat the process. And, they're kind of theorizing on the creators of this ship being looked upon as gods. Some interesting marble-looking obelisks here in the room, too, with some star charts and things emblazoned on them. But
yeah, I guess it's the solar system of that planet.
yeah, and Spock has identified them as the Fabrini people. So fascinating. Usually with these types of situations, Spock is unable to identify the aliens, but in this one, they are a known alien race.
Yeah, and yeah, it always amazes me how much knowledge Kirk and Spock and other crew members have of the world around them.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's a commentary on the education system in the 23rd century.
I guess so. And, the thing that kind of stuns me about it is, though, that Spock, they say that the Fabrini people's homeworld was destroyed 10,000 years in the past. So that was well before the Federation and well before space travel for Earth. How do the Vulcans know about the Fabrini people? Have they been traveling in space for 10,000 years? Because that's an awful long time.
Yeah, especially considering first contact doesn't really even occur for what, a couple hundred years before the original series.
Yeah, and if the Fabrini people's planet was destroyed and these people in this asteroid are the only ones left from that society and they haven't had any outside contact, how did the story of their planet being destroyed get out for the Vulcans to even know in the first place?
Good question.
I don't know. To delve deeper.
They're caught.
Then they wanted to use that effect again, I think.
Yeah.
That visual effect of Kirk and Spock getting electrocuted. That's pretty cool looking.
Yeah. So they were caught here because I guess what the Oracle was activated, whereas before they were in a room where the Oracle hadn't really kicked on yet.
I guess so. I wasn't sure if it was that or that they touched the obelisk in a certain way, or because I guess we find out in a little bit that there's 3 buttons on top of that thing Kirk just touched, and it looks like his finger's touching one of them. But I don't know. I'm gonna go with your answer though, and say that it's because the Oracle was awake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is we might as well talk about Natira.
Sure.
This is actress Kate Woodville. She died in 2013 at the age of 74.
Oh, wow.
But she had retired from acting in the late 70s.
Okay.
You probably saw her on episodes of The Rockford Files, Wonder Woman, or 8 is Enough.
Very good. Very good. She's very good in this episode.
She's great. It's a great character, great performance, great look, all around. Solid.
Definitely.
And now McCoy is letting her know that he's staying.
I wonder if this is a Kirk tactic that he's employing. Because he's using her emotional attachment to him to get Kirk and Spock off the hook.
Yeah.
So they'd be given a death sentence for committing a sacrilegious act against the Oracle. And I guess as High Priestess, she is charged with carrying out that sentence. And he is trying to get her to let them go back to the Enterprise, as opposed to being killed. And he is kind of requesting it and saying, do this for me. I'm going to stay. We can be together. Just let my friends go. That seems very Kirk-like to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe he's picked up on... He wears a pinky ring?
You know what? I kind of feel like we saw that one other episode.
Maybe we did. I for some reason, I don't remember it, but maybe you're right. But...
I thought I remember you mentioning it.
Oh, maybe I did.
I'm going to have to go back and listen to every episode now.
All right, well, let me know which one it was in. So, yeah, we just saw McCoy as a pinky ring. So now he's breaking the news to Kirk and Spock, and I love this moment.
Yeah, well, where Kirk orders him.
Kirk orders McCoy to come back to the Enterprise, and McCoy refuses. Like, what are you going to do, Kirk? What are you going to do? And this just seems to be a moment where, Kirk would be kind of beside himself. If a regular, lowly ensign refused an order, that sucker would go right in the brig.
Yeah.
Or be court-martialed, disciplined otherwise. But this is McCoy, man. This is his buddy. And he's dying.
Yeah.
So maybe Kirk's like, well, I guess I kind of have to let it slide. Because he could draw his phaser out and force McCoy to go back to the Enterprise. But he's not going to do that. So I wonder if we could say that McCoy is actually the MVP of this episode instead of Spock. Because if it wasn't for McCoy convincing Natira to let them go, Kirk and Spock would be toast.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love how McCoy has to back up a few steps to allow Kirk and Spock to beam out. He doesn't want to accidentally be caught or have Kirk grab him and pull him into the beam. Like, fool you.
Yeah. And we had Scotty asking why McCoy wasn't being beamed up.
Yeah, that's really strange to me that Scotty would question Kirk's order like that. There could be plenty of reasons why McCoy would stay down there.
Yeah, agreed.
To treat some people or to gain some medical knowledge or whatnot. But I thought it was interesting that they wrote that in there to have Scotty ask that question. And now we're going to see McCoy get the implant put into his head, which I thought was kind of fascinating. That in order to allow him to live amongst the people, the oracles decreed that he must have this apparatus implanted into his head, which just happened. Doesn't appear to have any effect. But he has the discipline chip, the installed agonizer in his brain. Now, question for you, Craig. Another question. So McCoy did not go back to the Enterprise. He opted to stay down here. Does that mean he left all of his stuff up there? All of his extra changes of clothes, his casual clothes, his personal belongings.
Yeah, I guess it's a clean break. He's gonna start over.
I guess so. His wallet, his keys, his iPhone. He left everything on the Enterprise.
Well, he does keep his communicator.
He does. That's a good point. I'm surprised, and that's a Starfleet issue. I'm surprised that wasn't confiscated from him at the time of his reneging his duties.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like I'm surprised. Spock let that slip. You think he would have been about the debrief? Definitely.
You would think Spock would be all about regulations, but because Kirk's got to account for all those communicators and phasers, doesn't he?
Yeah, I'm sure there's an Enterprise inventory that happens.
Yeah. Hey, is that book familiar to you, Craig? Look familiar?
It doesn't.
It's Chicago Mobs of the 20s.
Is it?
It is.
Awesome. Just redressed?
Yes, it is from A Piece of the Action, one of Craig's favorite episodes.
Oh, that's awesome. Very cool.
Yeah, pretty cool reused little prop there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is where McCoy sort of learns a truth about possibly being able to redirect the asteroid.
Yeah, so what's been revealed here is there's an instruction manual hidden in one of the obelisks in the room.
Great shot.
Oh, it's wonderful. And the High Priestess can access this book whenever she wants, but chooses not to. And it is only to be opened upon reaching the final destination of the asteroid ship. So fascinating that they have all of the answers at their fingertips, but no one is curious enough to look at it. I guess under threat of pain or death.
Yeah.
They stay away from it. And here's something that we don't see very often. We see a high-ranking Starfleet officer actually talking to Kirk.
Yeah.
Usually Starfleet's orders come through Uhura and she relays them over, but this is Kirk in his quarters taking a direct Skype call from Starfleet headquarters, and we see yet another Starfleet high-ranking officer we've never seen before. But only a couple times throughout the series have we ever seen a direct contact with Starfleet like that, a visual direct contact.
Yeah, and they're basically being called off.
Yeah, Kirk has been relieved of all responsibility in response to the asteroid, and Starfleet will quote unquote handle it. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was kind of neat that we get to hear Starfleet's orders directly.
Yeah, and here's McCoy cutting in, and sort of a callback to the old man. You see he's being punished for sharing information that he's not supposed to be sharing.
Yep, and he's convulsing on the floor. So interesting. A couple of other things this calls into question for me. That I don't really like to pick these episodes apart, but when something like this happens and it becomes obvious to me that another easy solution could have been reached. Obviously, the communicators work from inside the asteroid to the ship, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, why wouldn't Kirk and Spock, now we've seen that they have beamed directly inside the planet into the room where McCoy is laying on the floor. Now, why couldn't they just beam directly into the Oracle's control chamber? You would think now they know where the Oracle's room is. They could easily beam directly into that little hidden room behind the Oracle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, Spock could scan the room and see, oh, there's a little hidden room back there. But I love how they have Spock has this little pen-looking apparatus that's designed specifically. It's in the tricorder. It's designed specifically to remove head implants.
Yeah.
That he just pulled out the implant that was in McCoy's head, and Natira actually knows now. She knows that he's no longer part of the people. I wonder, did she actually see the thing being removed, or does she sense it that he's been freed?
Mm-hmm.
Because he's no longer plugged into the hive mind. Interesting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Kind of an early Borg-like thing, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of Borg seeds throughout the original series, as we've pointed out.
Yeah, they seem to be a natural progression of things. So I like how Spock can sub in as a doctor too when necessary.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
He's everything. Like, Spock's everything.
I got this.
He's the Vulcan jack of all trades.
So earlier this season, we talked about things that happened on this date when the episode aired.
Oh boy.
I was looking at November 8th, 1968. And there's some interesting stuff that happened on this date. The Vienna Convention on Road Traffic was signed to facilitate international road traffic and to increase road safety by standardizing the uniform traffic rules among the signatories. So that's kind of neat. And also on this date in history, Cynthia Lennon was granted divorce from John Lennon.
I'll get out.
Yeah.
Wow. And from that day, poor Julian Lennon would be mistreated.
Yeah, well, we got a good song out of it, right? We got Hey Jude out of it.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Yes, we did. And Julian has become a good songwriter and musician in his own right. He's got some good records under his belt.
Yeah, I know I was a big fan of what, Velote?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
And Too Late for Goodbyes, but that was the earlier pop stuff. And I don't want to digress too far from Star Trek here, but some of his recent albums are very good, so I'll leave it at that. So Kirk is now fully breaking the Prime Directive. He's in to hell with the Prime Directive mode once again, and he's revealing to Natira the truth of her own existence.
Yeah.
And he even offers to take the little chip out of her head.
Yeah. Now, do you buy this? I mean, clearly she's learning this information, but do you think the High Priestess never would have been clued in or never would have gotten an indication about their true nature?
Well, I think if you follow the logic that the Oracle, as we know it, is a computer which is programmed to do a specific function, and that's just to keep the people under control and keep them in line until we reach our destination. So I don't think the computer would be capable of wavering on that programming. So it stands to reason that she would never have gotten anything official.
Right.
She may have had her suspicions, but I don't think the Oracle could ever have given her any indication. The only way she probably would have learned about it is if she was curious enough to grab that book and read. But I don't know if the Oracle would let her do that. I think it's programmed to protect that truth at all costs and keep the people from knowing exactly what's really going on until they actually reach their final destination, at which point all would be revealed. I don't really know why the people that created this ship would do that, but I'm not sure. It would be hard for me to really to come up with a really convincing theory that I could believe.
Right.
In my mind, because you would think that the people of the Fabrini planet would want these people on the ship to continue with their their society. This seems to be a whole different society.
Yeah.
Than what the society on the actual planet would have been.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, really, what's the downside to letting these people know? I mean, would it just be sort of shattering their reality to the point where they wouldn't be able to comprehend, the situation they were in? Or would people all of a sudden decide we don't want to be on a ship anymore?
Yeah, would they take control of it and go other places?
Mm-hmm. But how do you even do that?
You have to get into the room behind the Oracle to do that.
Yeah.
But another question is that when the Fabrini people built this ship in the first place, the first generation of people to be put on that ship had to know the truth.
Normalized.
They lived it.
They were normalized.
Oh, yeah. The men in black showed up and zapped them all. But in all seriousness, they would have to know the truth. So did they all conspire to raise their children with the lies?
Yeah.
I mean, how did that work?
Yeah, you'd think that there would at least be, and maybe if we really followed this sort of society through multiple episodes or their own series, maybe you'd hear that talk among certain people. But I don't know if you've got a society that's got, their thoughts are ultimately being controlled by the Oracle. Negative discussions or the passing of rumors could result really in
true.
In that head agonizer being activated.
It's like it zapped the truth out of them.
Yeah. So the Oracle's pretty much lost his stroke here.
Yeah. Well, he knows he can't agonize them, so he needs to come up with another way to stop them from looking at the book. So I guess he's going to try to cook them.
Yeah. I guess this little chamber, it doubles as a kiln. Yes.
So they're in a giant oven now. And we're going to have Vulcan kebabs and human kebabs in a minute here. The temperature is rising very quickly, and it's a really cool warping effect they use. They have a red light here, like a red cast to the frame, and they have this really interesting, film bending warping effect, simulating the heat.
Yeah.
In the room. I thought that was really cool that they went that far instead of just having a red light. Yeah, they went the extra step to give you that kind of rippling effect.
Oh, yeah.
Very cool. And I love how Spock can immediately understand and know how to operate and or repair any alien technology he comes across. It's amazing.
He's the MacGyver of the future.
Yes, he read the manual. He knows how to get into the room, and now he's immediately going to know how to deactivate the heat. So he had all these buttons and knobs and doohickeys that we see. The camera's panning all around the room. He knows exactly the one he goes to is red. So I guess red equals heat.
Yeah, and also, though, this is a very, very advanced machinery.
Oh, yeah.
That seemingly doesn't need any maintenance.
Not at all. Yeah, self-repairing.
Yeah, which is a pretty amazing concept in itself.
True. That's also kind of Borg-like, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the self-perpetuating machine. It's almost like what's the Terminators, right? From from the future.
Yeah.
The self-repairing machines.
It's almost a little too hard to buy into.
Yeah, that's a little far-fetched. Well, maybe there's people on the ship that are trained to repair the machines. They just don't know what the machines do.
Yeah, but think about this. You've got an Oracle in your life that is sort of your God.
Yeah.
And then you go behind the curtain and you see that your God is basically a bank of computers.
Well, I'm not saying that they were able to go behind it. I'm sure there's other access to other computers somewhere in the ship. Maybe they just don't know what those computers did. I don't know. I'm just trying to come up with an idea here.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, we're trying to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, we're spitballing. Spitballing. So, and now Natira is without her head implant. They've taken it out. She's opting to stay behind on the Inada and help her people make it to their final destination. It's pretty noble.
Yeah.
Pretty noble. And while we have a minute here, I'll talk a little bit more about another book reference that is the novelization, the novel of the motion picture, Star Trek: The Motion Picture. When they come back together, it is mentioned that McCoy had spent the time between the original series and the motion picture studying the medical technology of the Fabrini people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So at the end of this episode, Kirk offers to meet back up with the Fabrini people in 390 days or something of that nature when they are going to reach their destination, and he offers to drop McCoy off so he can hang out with her for a while, and he smiles and sort of in this tacit acknowledgement that he wants to do that. So that kind of fits.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
Very
nice
cool
to know that McCoy got to be with her again.
Yeah.
So pretty cool. Pretty cool. So we're gonna get the panacea here in a moment where everything is being resolved, and as they're on their way out of the Oracle control room, Spock conveniently notices there's a bunch of memory banks that contain a significant wealth of medical knowledge, and amongst that medical knowledge is the cure to McCoy's affliction.
Yeah.
So pretty cool. They've got the ship righted. It's going back to automatic. Spock fixed the engine. They're back on course. All is right with the world.
Mm-hmm. Now, why do you think they introduced this? And do you think it changes the way McCoy thinks in this episode, is giving him this death sentence at the beginning of the episode that you cure by the end? It makes a lot of McCoy's choices this episode really easy.
It does.
I almost would have preferred where you didn't have that McCoy 1 year ticking clock, and he still decides to stay behind.
I agree. It would have made for much harder decisions and a much more dramatic episode in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, it would have created this depth to his character beyond, I've got a year to live, YOLO, why don't I just, be this woman's, this high priestess's husband for a year?
YOLO, I love it. Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, that really outlines his whole reason for staying. He's like, well, why bother going back to the ship? I'll just kind of hang out here, be happy for a year, and then I'll just, drift off into the sunset.
Yeah.
So,
well.
Another question before we wrap up.
All right.
Another question for you. So, in your mind, is the Prime Directive one way? Is it a one-way deal where they don't interfere with other societies, but they are allowed to appropriate whatever technology they want from those societies as long as it serves them?
I think so. I mean, if you think about it, their whole mission is to sort of discover new worlds and new civilizations. So it really wouldn't be fair to their mission if, it's akin to going to a foreign country, eating a dish you really, really like, and then not getting the recipe.
I guess. I guess we really didn't see. I assume that they asked if it was okay if they borrowed that method to cure McCoy.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like Spock just grabbed whatever data tapes or made copies of whatever and just took them back to the ship. But I don't know. I think it's kind of hypocritical that we're not allowed to interfere in alien societies, but we're allowed to use their technology to interfere with our natural progression. Right. Like in time, we probably would have figured that out, how to cure that disease. We hadn't yet.
Yeah.
So instead, we cheated and just got the answer from aliens. But
right.
At any rate, the episode is now over, and it is time for our essential voting.
All right. I'm just going to jump right in and say, unless you can convince me otherwise, and I don't think multiple phaser banks do it for me, or a terminal disease that's cured by the end of the episode, I am going to vote this episode non-essential, as much as I enjoy watching it.
Yep. I don't think I'm going to be able to convince you because I can't convince myself. So non-essential vote from me as well. Nothing necessarily earth-shattering here. No recurring new aliens. No significant character moments. And as much as it pains me, so I'm going to have to give it a double non-essential vote.
Hey, it happens every once in a while.
It does. But all right.
Yeah.
Well, that brings us to the end of episode 63, and we will see you next Sunday for the Tholian Web.
Yeah, this is one I've been looking forward to.
Yeah, it should be a fun one. So take it easy, everybody, and we'll talk to you soon.
The common thought was, of course, that he was had an unhappy marriage, divorce, with a daughter whose name was Joanne, who we never got to. We were going to do a series about her. Not a series, but an episode with her. And, of course, the third year they sent us down the sewer. We didn't get to do that. Would have been interesting. They were talking about bringing her on board. I'm sure that had they brought her on board, that our captain would have had eyes for her in some way that could upset the hell out of McCoy, I tell you that.
It all seems rather indecent to me.
But he is a Southerner out of the South, and I think just was such an unhappy guy that he joined the service, decided he would, abandon what practice he had. And that's about all that was really ever known about him or thought about.
You have lived a lonely life?
Yes. Very lonely.
This episode first aired during Star Trek's third and final season. Our audience was declining, and everyone connected to the show was feeling pressure from the network. Although we beat the Klingons and the Romulans, we eventually were defeated in the ratings war. In past seasons, we had been up against shows like My Three Sons and Gomer Pyle. The last year we were on the air, our competition was Judd for the Defense. In the 3 years we were on the network, we never did better than 54th place. But at that time, who would ever have thought what a phenomenon Star Trek would become over the years? Dictatorship by computer. Decisions made by a cold, hard, calculating entity that leaves no room for dissent. It doesn't get more efficient than that. But it's hard to imagine a less compassionate form of government than a computer. In Star Trek, these electronic despots, fortunately, never survived beyond the end of the episode, thanks, of course, to James T. Kirk.